Meghan Markle once called herself a fraud, and it wasn't just about landing a role. It was a glimpse into how she's been playing the game all along, manipulating the narrative and bending the truth to suit her story.
Yeah, nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourselves in this country with your ludicrous, hypocritical behaviour. Truth be told, what she just said is complete and utter garbage.
Meghan Markle once casually admitted with a laugh that she was a fraud when she landed her first acting role. But it wasn't some offhand remark. It was a candid moment, filmed for the world to see. The story she told? She lied about being a member of the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, just to land a part. The lie wasn't a tiny slip. It was a bold move that would make any casting director raise an eyebrow. Meghan openly laughed about how her little fib forced the casting team to submit extra paperwork just to make her look legitimate. She proudly referred to herself as the Mike Ross of auditioning, a nod to the character from the show Suits, a guy who also faked his way into the world of law. It was meant to be a funny, quirky anecdote, showing how she worked the system. But there's something unsettling about it too. This wasn't just about getting a role, it was about getting away with bending the rules and doing it with charm and a smile. That moment, though it seemed innocent enough, gave us a peek into Meghan's approach to life. She's always been able to bend the truth to her advantage, whether it was landing acting gigs, climbing the social ladder, or even entering the royal spotlight. And now, looking back, it's clear that this wasn't just a one-time fluke. It's a pattern of bending the rules with a smile, hiding behind charm, and moving on fast enough that no one ever really catches up. This is where the story takes a darker turn. Meghan's way of playing the game didn't just stop with her acting career.
It's one long rendition of all their greatest whinges and a load of self-congratulatory nonsense. Harry and Meghan sold their royal souls to become reality TV stars.
Meghan Markle's ability to manipulate a narrative isn't confined to her acting career. In fact, it stretches into the very heart of her royal life. Take, for example, the infamous Finding Freedom lawsuit. Meghan testified under oath that she hadn't collaborated with the authors of the book, essentially denying any involvement in shaping the narrative of her life. But then, the bombshell. An email leak showed Meghan had, in fact, worked closely with the authors, helping to craft key parts of the story. It wasn't just a simple oversight. The court called it a lapse of memory, but to many, it looked like something far worse: perjury. Yet, despite the glaring evidence, Meghan faced no real consequences. The story faded quietly, just another chapter in a long list of contradictions. This wasn't just a slip-up. It was a calculated move to manipulate the public's perception, to control the narrative while playing the victim card when it suited her, and it doesn't end there. This is the core of Meghan's strategy. She weaves together stories that allow her to shift from being the victim to being the hero, depending on the audience. She has learned how to play the game, crafting her public image with a mix of charm, calculated honesty, and strategic silence. The problem? The cracks are starting to show and the public is beginning to notice.
Yeah, what has he done with this Netflix series? He's used his mother to sell it. Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one?
When Meghan Markle was pregnant with Archie, a bizarre theory gained traction online. The idea that she used prosthetics, specifically a moon bump, to fake her pregnancy. The rumors suggested she wasn't actually pregnant, but was instead wearing a fake belly to deceive the public. It sounds far-fetched, right? And the mainstream press quickly dismissed it as conspiracy nonsense. But here's the thing. Even though the theory was extreme, it revealed something bigger. Meghan's pregnancy, like so much of her life, had been shrouded in mystery and inconsistency. There were questions about when she actually gave birth, and even the details of her public appearances raised eyebrows. The theory wasn't just about the bump. It was a symptom of a larger issue: the growing public mistrust surrounding Meghan's narrative. The media, once willing to give her the benefit of the doubt, now seemed unsure of what to believe. Meghan's personal story kept shifting, adapting to whatever narrative best suited the moment. The public began to wonder what was real and what was crafted for the cameras. This was no longer just about pregnancy rumors. It was a glimpse into the bigger picture of how Meghan manipulates her image and uses ambiguity to keep people guessing. At Meghan and Harry's royal wedding, a seemingly innocent moment quickly spiraled into controversy. A clip surfaced showing Meghan allegedly bowing her head to Princess Charlotte. To some, it was a sweet, respectful gesture, a sign of her deference to the royal family. But to others, the footage told a different story. Critics argued that Meghan's glance toward Charlotte wasn't maternal or warm. It seemed more like a cold, calculating sizing up of her place within the royal family. This small moment ignited a firestorm online, with fans and critics alike dissecting every second. Was this a glimpse into Meghan's true feelings? Or was it just another misunderstanding? The debate exploded, adding fuel to the already growing narrative that Meghan's public persona didn't quite match the behind-the-scenes reality. It wasn't just about one moment, though. It was part of a larger pattern. Meghan's calculated public behavior often clashed with the stories that were later revealed. Whether it was the royal wedding, her interactions with the family, or her carefully crafted media appearances, there was always a sense that what the public saw wasn't the full truth. And as more footage and leaks emerged, the cracks in Meghan's royal fairy tale started to widen. One of the most explosive moments in Meghan's royal journey was her claim that a member of the royal family expressed concerns about the color of Archie's skin. The accusation rocked the monarchy and sparked worldwide outrage. It was a seismic allegation, one that painted the royal family in a deeply troubling light. But when Prince Harry was asked to clarify, his response only added more confusion. He backtracked, saying it wasn't racism, but unconscious bias. This shift in language left many questioning. Was it racism or just poorly worded? Meghan's critics argued that this shift in framing was yet another example of her controlling the narrative to fit her own agenda. She had planted a seed of doubt about the royal family, and that seed had taken root, regardless of the clarification that followed. What's striking about this moment is how Meghan turned the conversation to focus on her victimhood. Instead of engaging with the details of the claim, she quickly rebranded it as an example of her speaking her truth. The issue wasn't about finding the truth. It was about reshaping the story to portray herself as a target of systemic oppression. And when that story didn't stick, she moved on, ready to spin the next chapter. Prince Harry's role in Meghan's narrative has always been a complicated one. From the start, he seemed to be swept up in her world, caught between loyalty to his wife and the weight of royal expectations. But as time went on, it became clearer that Harry wasn't just a passive participant. He was being subtly shaped by Meghan's influence. In some ways, it seemed like Harry was writing his own story. But when you looked closer, it became obvious that Meghan's fingerprints were all over it. Take Harry's memoir, Spare, for example. The book, which was meant to be his personal reflection on his life, read more like a strategic playbook, one carefully crafted with Meghan's voice and framing. One moment stood out in particular. Harry admitted to speaking harshly to Meghan during an argument. Her response, "If you ever speak to me like that again, our marriage is over." That line, so carefully chosen, turned the spotlight on Harry as the villain, painting him as emotionally unavailable and troubled. The question people started asking was, why would Harry include this? Why would he immortalize a moment that made him look bad? The only plausible answer was that Meghan had influenced this portrayal. In her world, narratives don't just happen, they're constructed. And Harry, for all his efforts to stand apart, became another character in her carefully curated story, one where his vulnerability served to reinforce her narrative of being the victim. As Meghan Markle continues to manipulate the media narrative, the stakes for Harry have grown increasingly dire. It's clear that Harry has given up much of his past, his titles, his country, his royal identity, all in the name of supporting Meghan. But in doing so, he's placed himself in a position where escaping her influence is becoming nearly impossible. His own words, his actions, and his public stance are now part of a larger narrative Meghan controls. And the more Harry tries to reclaim his past, the more it threatens to unravel the story he's been forced to adopt. But the real tragedy isn't just Harry's predicament, it's the children. Archie and Lilibet, caught in the middle of this whirlwind, will one day have to face the complexities of their family's legacy. They didn't choose this life of constant media scrutiny, and they certainly didn't ask for their mother's narrative to become so deeply entwined with their own identities. Yet, as they grow older, they will inevitably stumble upon the online theories, the conspiracy videos, and the questions no one dares ask publicly about their birth, their upbringing, and their place in the royal story. Meghan may be able to control the narrative for now, but as their children get older, they'll have to grapple with a truth that's been twisted and rewritten countless times. And Harry? He'll be left to deal with the consequences of allowing this all to unfold without ever truly stepping in to protect his family's legacy. In the end, Meghan Markle's story isn't just about one woman's rise to fame, it's a carefully crafted narrative, pieced together through lies, manipulation, and a relentless drive to control how the world sees her. Whether it's bending the truth for acting gigs or rewriting history to suit her agenda, Meghan has mastered the art of narrative control. But there's a dangerous game at play. For all the charm, the media campaigns, and the victim narratives, the cracks are starting to show. As for Harry, he's stuck in a maze of his own making, a maze where every path leads to Meghan's version of the story. With each move, his identity fades, and his legacy slips further away. And the real tragedy? The children, Archie and Lilibet, will one day have to sift through a complex web of truth and fiction, all while growing up in the shadow of their mother's ever-changing narrative. At some point, every game reaches its end, every mask slips, and every lie hits a wall it can't climb. For Meghan, that wall might be built from her own ambition. For Harry, it's built from regret. And for the rest of us, it's just a waiting game to see who wakes up first.